Can you see my screen all? I will keep into, I'm not going to go into presentation mode because I cannot check, I for any reason in the setup. Hello, Ricardo. Hola, boa tarde. I will keep the screen like that because if I'm in presentation mode, I have some issues with the screen. So what I'm going to do is reviewing more or less where we are with West Africa and Mexico, the status of the fisheries, of the FIPs, jumping into the human rights assessments that we mentioned, the new proposal, and it says potential grant application, but it's not, it's just grant application. It's the similar agenda that I did in the previous call, because I want to be sure to be consistent and covering the topics that I'm covering each meeting. So you will find similar agendas and trying to be really continuing what we speak quarter to quarter. And you know that I'm always available to do updates in the middle or one-to-one meetings. So basically, we had a strategy based on looking into the science-based management, how the most advanced fisheries globally in terms of management and status are ongoing. So we have Mauritania, Morocco, Mexico. Senegal is in the middle of this managed fisheries and managed. So that is why Senegal doesn't appear here. But more or less where we are in terms of by region in West Africa, in green is what are really the updates for this meeting today. Is that Mauritania has already, the FIP is still not active, but the good news is not active for two reasons. First one, and the main one, is that fishery progress, maybe some of you know, maybe you don't know, fishery progress has been under review and they have been updating the full website. So they have not responded. There has been a period of 2 months between June and August, almost 3 months, where they have not doing any update. And actually, there are still some FIPs that are not updated. And this is the case for Mauritania. They have not uploaded the new FIP. Also, they have already reviewed all the documentation. So the way that it works, especially when you activate a FIP for the first time, is that if you remember, we were in a prospective FIP. So it doesn't, when you are going to upload and to evolve into a comprehensive FIP, there is not like a transition. It's just you drop one FIP, you drop the prospective, and you create a new profile for a new prospective FIP. It's not very helpful the way that is set up, because a FIP disappeared. There is a period of 2 or 3 months that the prospective FIP disappeared from the website. So it doesn't mean that the FIP has dropped completely. It's just we have to remove the FIP to update the new information. So then in this process of activation, we have sent the MSC pre-assessment, we have sent the MOU with the signatures, we have sent all the documentation related to the FIP to be approved, reviewed, and approved. So there is a review from Fishery Progress, from Fish Choice in that case, from the reviewers, and they get to us, they provide feedback to say, okay, there are a few things to modify in the MSC pre-assessment. There are a few things that needs to be clarified in the work plan. So they send us all these modifications, all these requests to review. We have already reviewed that. This is not something that commonly SFP does. Usually these are the coordinators, but I've personally engaged in being sure that we submitted all the information. So we have done all the reviews, myself and the consultant in Mauritania. We have done all the requests. I've updated as well the MOU because there were some signatures missing. That is why maybe a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, you have seen me asking for new signatures, just to be sure that we had everything. And there is the social work plan that needs to be the social component of the FIP that needs to be addressed, that we have also submitted the proposals that we had for the consultants, and I will enter in more details there. So the thing is not today that we have sent everything again a couple of weeks ago. We are just looking for the green light to have this activated. We don't know when this is going to happen. Those that are some familiar with the Conservation Alliance for Seafood Solutions, you may know. So this is the big group that is monitoring, among others, the FIP and the Fishery Progress website, is meeting in Mexico in the coming weeks or next month, or so. Probably there are many people involved in the organization of the meeting, and I'm not really sure when the activation of the FIP is going to be, but this is ongoing. So I'm really positive now. Yesterday I talked to SMCP and the coordinators in Mauritania, and they asked me, what do we need to do to advance and to move forward? And my response was, organize already a stakeholder meetings with the steering committee and the technical committee that they have decided in Mauritania by decree, by national law. Organize a meeting. What I've proposed is organizing a meeting end of October, beginning of November, before the new season starts, December or January, to be sure that we start implementing the work plan even before that the FIP is becoming active in Fishery Progress. So we have time, because we know that everything in Mauritania, that when we expect a date, is delayed. So if we do the stakeholder meetings 2 months in advance of the new fishing season, we will be sure that the IMROP and the steering committee and everyone is ready to start implementing activities. Okay, so this is one thing that is going on. So Mauritania involves a lot of work, a lot of coordination work. In parallel, in Mauritania, we have other. So I don't know if you have questions. I will stop here in case you have any question related to the FIP or the process or. Okay. Related to Mauritania, there is another thing going on, is this famous human rights impact assessment that we are willing to do. If you remember, there were 3 proposals, so I will advance one slide and I will go back then to the. So if you remember, there were 3 proposals from 2 NGOs and from the consultants that developed the trainings on human rights due diligence. Finally, the feedback from many of you, the majority of those that voted, signaled consultants, but I also made other considerations. The first one is the budget. We were not going to be able to afford the budget requested by Partners Africa or Oxfam, because we were going to do a grant application, and the money and the limit was too high for Oxfam and Partners Africa. But additionally, I also decided to speak with the coordinator in the country, in Mauritania, because he knows the consultant that was working for Partners Africa for the other project that we have conducted, and he was a bit unsure about replicating the work that was done, because Partners Africa and Oxfam, sometimes NGOs, are a little bit have some pre-assumptions, and he thought that maybe in Mauritania was not going to be very welcome to have NGOs going again to replicate the same work. So he believes that consultants could be more independent in terms of developing this work. The proposal has been tailored to include more consultancies, more surveys. We have included around 8 SR participants that can contribute and participate as well at this analysis, and also to do some consultancies and to do some consultative and collaboration work in the field, probably in February, with suppliers and FIP stakeholders. We have also been able to tailor better the proposals for business and human rights consultants, because Oxfam and Partners Africa didn't include in the proposal addressing the FIP work plan or the social FIP work plan and proposing a work plan that would match with the requirements of Fishery Progress. And we have agreed with consultants to do that, to be sure that we do the human rights impact assessment for the SR, but also that we meet the requirements of fishery progress. So the estimation time for the work is 1 year. I would say 1 year, 15 months, the time to develop the desktop analysis, the visit to the field, the surveys, and the development of the recommendations and work plan. So I believe that this could initiate, the desktop analysis could start in the coming weeks to have the consultants visiting the field in February during the fishing season, the winter fishing season. So this is where we are with this proposal. And we have applied to a grant, Resource Legacy Fund. That's a donor that in the past funded some work in Mauritania and Morocco, and now they had an application, a call of proposals and an application period to support FIPS. So specifically, I've invested a lot of time during August to do a grant proposal, and the proposal has been submitted early in September. And Resource Legacy Funds had responded that they were positive as well. They like the proposal. They will review the proposal, and probably we are going to have some feedback in the coming month, probably November, end of November. So we can start the desktop analysis with the budget we have already from the SR and complement the budget with the grant money that we can get end of this year, if possible, beginning of 2025. So I believe that we are good in this journey to be sure that by 2025 we have the environmental work plan, and we have also a social work plan that will respond to all this due diligence that, especially in Europe, you are meant to do to comply with the corporate due diligence. So there is going to be desktop analysis, but also visits to the field, surveys, and engagement of SR participants and FIP stakeholders. I will share the proposal with you, the final proposal, how we tailor to have FIP's fishery progress and coordination with the FIP coordinators, and also, well, for you to know. But we went back and forth. I spoke with some of you that made some questions about the proposals. So I don't know if you have additional questions or you would like additional information. Okay, end of August, September. So I do apologize for not sharing with you all of this, but the reality is that I was on vacation on August, but also working in parallel during my vacation to be sure to submit the proposal in time. So this is the reason why I've not sent the proposal, because I was really tailoring last details to also align with the requirements of this donor. But overall, it has been a good thing, and I believe that we have the opportunity to get some money to conduct this work, or that there's so much funding for developing the analysis. Any question or okay? Related to West Africa, I will get back to the slide. Okay, in Morocco there is no really there are no updates. There are not big updates. I hope that in Cosmar I'm going to be able to connect again with FENIP and with some producers, with some companies, but there is still not many interest in the country. So maybe to see how we can mobilize the industrial fleets, how we can mobilize the industry associations, and see what we can reactivate in Cosmar. But unfortunately, in Morocco, there is no many interest. So initiating a FIP where there is no interest in a country is quite risky, because it's already very tough and very complicated to launch any effort. So if in addition we don't have the support from the national stakeholders, we need to ensure first the support and the the cooperation. So this is what I would like to see, being able to have more convinced stakeholders to initiate an effort. And related to Senegal, I don't know if you have seen in some of the reports, Senegal had a change in the government in the last months, and they are betting for better transparency. So they have published investors list, license information. So they are open to work and to invest more work in transparency and IUU fishing. So these are good news overall for the governance of the country. And also we have initiated already, I don't know if you remember, that a couple of years ago, SFP initiated a proposal and a journey with UNDP, the UN United Nations for Program Naciones Unidas para el Desarrollo. This is, I know the acronym in Spanish. I'm not able. It's for development. United Nations for Development. SFP did a proposal for the West African region, including Mauritania, Morocco, and Senegal. We included in the project proposal to work on. So in these specific proposals, the projects are called Global Marine Commodities. We select large marine ecosystems, which the marine ecosystem selected was the island Canary current that takes all this West African region. So we had chosen Mauritania and Senegal and Morocco. These are the three countries. And then we have selected specific commodities. And for West Africa, the commodity selected has been small pelagics, sardine, mackerel, anchovies, because this is a really common stock among the three countries. And we have also selected octopus for Mauritania and Senegal. No, that was not chosen for Morocco because the focal points of Morocco say that they didn't want to include octopus. So this has been something that SFP proposed, but the final project is agreed with focal points in each country. So this was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So there is, you can imagine the bureaucracy working with the UN and the countries. So only last year we finalized the proposal. I remember in summer that Antonio, as the chair of the SR, supported us. And thank you, Antonio, again for these efforts. We did the proposal, and now there is the resolution, and we are initiating the work individually with the countries. Well, so with Senegal, we have already initiated the conversations to kick off the project. So we had a first meeting with national stakeholders, with representatives from the fisheries. So we are in the path to initiate this project. So now there are many bureaucracy steps, but we hope that by January we will be implementing the project. So the project in Senegal includes mapping potential cooperatives and regions to launch a FIP, supporting the social side of the FIP, the environmental side. So we will have resources in Senegal to start the discussions, especially at a national level. In Mauritania, the good news is that because we had initiated this process, I included the FIP in the project. So the FIP will have support through this project as well. So I believe that because we are going this global marine commodities focused in supporting the demand for sustainable products and also to support the development of FIPs, improving the governance of the fisheries and the country. There is some money under this project that will also support all the work in Mauritania and the transparency, the governance, addressing many small things that are essential for the FIP. There is going to be a really good alignment. So my hope is that we are going to reinforce and strengthen the project that is in Mauritania today, because there will be this governmental and UN support specifically to the FIP, but also to the transparency. So with that, it has been a bit long. That's the most recent update. So I know that in practical questions that you are buyers and you would like to have an Octopus MSC certified to sell to your customers. This is not feasible yet, but the way that we can tell this story is moving forward. So I believe that we are going to have a really good narrative, and I will try to update the SFP website with all these improvements and all these stories, so you can take them and communicate to your clients and also to your suppliers to push them to get involved. Any comment or question? Antonio, you are the chair of the SR, so I don't know if you want to say something. You have been really active supporting us. So just if you want. I don't want to put you in a bad position.
No, yes, congratulations, because Senegal is like Mauritania. No, we understand perfectly the Morocco situation, but I believe Senegal is an opportunity to develop. No, mainly now with the new government. My colleague from Senegal tell us that is really they want to do change. They want to do things well, no? But the problem is I think, no, I'm not sure you can explain us, no? Senegal has the problem with the Chinese fleet, no? With the, in fact, received the yellow card, no, from the European Union, no, or no?
Yes, I mean the problem of it's not a problem, and it's not only for this. Is something that I was going also to mention, that could be the bad news or maybe good news, because this become public. The problem but this is a global problem, and this is a problem in Africa in general. These are the Chinese fleets operating in economic exclusive zones under private agreements. Also, Chinese fleets operating in high seas, but entering into economic exclusive zones. So this is not only a problem for Senegal, as well, Antonio, as you mentioned, Senegal received a yellow card, and also because of the lack of enforcement. So many times, it's just raising a yellow card can be an opportunity for the country to improve the situation, because they will have support from the European Union to address major issues in the fisheries. So it is true that yellow or red cards, especially red cards, impact the market directly, but yellow cards can help to improve the situation. And I believe that it should be taken in a positive way, looking into how there is an opportunity to identify all these problems. Recently, many of you are familiar with this report because of the Squid, Ian Urbina, and the Outland Ocean Project report published, and I don't know if you are aware, but this is something that I was going to share as well today. They have shared a list of countries that have own fleets, for example, Mauritanian fleets or second-hand fleets, but these vessels in reality are Chinese vessels or belong to Chinese beneficial owners and companies. So this is going to be very important. This is something that we have not paid a lot of attention until now, because I mean, we have been doing all this work of launching the FIP, looking into the management, looking into everything, but looking now into this due diligence that we were talking about, knowing better who are our suppliers, we will realize that many of the fleet that is involved in the FIP, Mauritanian fleet is in reality Chinese fleet. So when doing the due diligence, it's going to be very important to really understand who is the owner, who is the beneficial owner, the conditions under where these workers, for example, are hired in these vessels. So in Mauritania, there are two, and this is one of the problems of joint ventures and private agreements. In all the African countries, the case of West Africa, but this is the case for Ghana, for Ivory Coast, for Tanzania, for Kenya, because Chinese fleets, Chinese private agreements are opportunistically entering into these countries, and they support infrastructure in the country. So the country is an opportunity to partner with a country that is going to build highways, is going to build schools, is going to build facilities. So it's an opportunity for them under these private agreements. But this is a problem for due diligence, and this is a problem sometimes when these fleets are not operating under the national laws and have exceptional agreements. In Mauritania, there are three Chinese companies. The older one is the Chino-Mauritanian fishery, which is the beneficial owner of all the vessels that are flagged Mauritanian and that are included in the FIP. They are Mauritanian, but they are submitted to the Mauritanian quotas. So they are more or less regulated under the Mauritanian law. I don't know the situation in Senegal. This is something that we are going to review, Antonio and Morocco, but there are these sort of private agreements. But I know the situation in Mauritania. So in Mauritania, you have this fleet. Then you have two other fleets, that is Sunrise and Dongwon. In case, Hondong, sorry, in case you are sourcing from them, these fleets are not under the same regulatory framework than the Chino-Mauritanian fleets. So I'm developing a document for recommendations when sourcing, and especially when doing the due diligence. I will ask the consultant to really dig into these questions to really understand what is the status of these fleets, because this is important for two things. First is that if the fleet is not under the regulatory framework, this fleet is going to be automatically out of the scope of the FIP, because the actions that the FIP are going to target and to develop are oriented to improve the management of the fisheries. So if these fisheries are not under the regulatory framework, they will be out of the FIP. Secondly, if these fisheries, and if you have traveled to Mauritania, you will know these specific vessels land and have specific facilities in Mauritania within the Chinese ports. So there is no transparency. There is no, I don't know if they share the VMS, the position data of the vessel. So we will go a little bit in depth to understand well the situation, but this is going to be key for the FIP and for the due diligence in the future. So I believe that it's good to start understanding what is the situation of all these vessels, okay? So this is, and for Senegal, is more or less the same. There are joint ventures with Spanish companies, with Chinese companies, with Russian companies. This is a really tricky question, especially for small pelagics, because of the fish meal and fish oil factories and industry. But in the case of, for the due diligence in particular, in the case of Mauritania, Senegal, and even Morocco, the question is going to be to assess, to evaluate the impact of these fleets and these private agreements in the local communities and artisanal fishers. How these private agreements are impacting the livelihoods and the security of these communities that belongs to the octopus. So everything is going to be taken into account. So step by step, but we are addressing all the challenges and issues that are arising, and everything is more or less under the radar. But I don't want to scare you with everything at the same time. Any question or comment? Okay, so this is the situation for West Africa. Good and bad feedback, more or less, no, medium. We are in the average, balancing the good news and the bad news. For Mexico, so I know that Mexico is not like a big sourcing fishery, but considering the importance for the octopus market, and considering that the octopus, the Americanus Maya, are competing in the same sector, these are also options for the supply. So there are two FIPs: the old FIP that was launched with the support of the SR, a new FIP that was launched recently by another company. Both FIPs are performing more or less well. There has not been updates since the last time we speak. They keep both between A and C. So there are a couple of things for those that could be interested in octopus from Mexico. One of the key things was that the stock assessments of the octopus, so the identification of the stocks, was this is something that was addressed by the FIP with support from SFP as well. They will be finally included in the Carta Nacional Pesquera. Carta Nacional Pesquera is like the national book where they recognize the stock assessments and the octopus for the management. And this, until now, in the last 3 years, that was not recognized. And this has been recognized just very recently. So this is good news because now there is an octopus stock identified, and there can be management measures addressed to the specificity of this stock. So these are good news. It's more scientific and technical stuff, but just to update you, this will maintain as well a good FIP rating for both FIPs. Then there is another thing that is interesting for those that may be operating in a specific market or for those that are looking for new opportunities. Pulpo Maya, the octopus Maya, has been recognized as a national good through a identificación de origen. It's not like a denominación de origen, but within Mexico, there are 5 things, I guess, that are recognized. It's like the honey, I don't know if it's the tequila. There are like 4 or 5 products, and pulpo is the first seafood being included in this category, and it belongs only to octopus from Yucatan area. So there is a match here with the octopus that is from Yucatan, with this identification of origin, with the FIP and the ITM, the transition to MSC program. So there are opportunities to improve the traceability of this octopus. This is one of the major issues, but now that there is an identification for geography, they are not going to be in a good position to cheat about the volumes that are produced. There will be better controls. The hope is that Mexico may increase the enforcement of the full fishery to ensure that this recognition is maintained and this level is maintained. So there is a link to the publication that you can explore, and we will see how we can take this opportunistically to initiate some traceability. I know that it's not the major interest for all of you, but maybe if you have an opportunity, there is also a fair trade certification. So some volume of this octopus is also fair trade certified. So maybe there are opportunities for you to get involved or to purchase. And if you are interested, we can see how to move forward with that. And I will keep supporting the FIP and the COBI, the national NGO that is supporting the efforts in the country. I don't know if any of you has any comment or. Okay, individually, if you want to follow up on this, we can have a look. For other regions of Octopus vulgaris in particular, we mentioned about Spain, south of Spain mainly, and also Portugal. This is interesting because I had a call last week with someone from MSC, not properly from the MSC certification. So there is a team of MSC that is following pathway projects. The pathway projects of MSC are projects that target a species that may not be certified in the short term. And octopus is one of these pathway projects, in particular in Portugal, where they are moving forward. And also they are looking into the Golfo de Cádiz, south of Spain, to initiate some efforts. So there are stock assessments. In Portugal in particular, there is a process of co-management in place that is improving. There may be interest from the producers to get connected to stakeholders and to buyers that are interested in FIP or MSC certified products, and the same from the south of Spain. So now Rubén Roa, which is the scientist that has been involved in many cephalopods fisheries, is working closely with MSC because Rubén Roa is the scientist for the MSC certified fishery in Asturias. So I'm in touch with them to see how we can make this information public and develop fisheries profiles to be sure that you have also access to octopus that at least has a rating, or to understand how these fisheries are performing. I know that there is good production in Algarve and south of Spain that is of interest of the market. So again, I hope that by the end of 2024, we will have the fisheries profiles, depending on the access of the to the information. So I have a meeting with MSC during Conchemar, and actually MSC is hosting a meeting on Argentinian shrimp. That is not the case for this SR, but also on octopus and squid. So I will share the information for about the MSC meetings, so you can participate or register if you are interested. These are the Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, Wednesday, or I will let you know in advance already if you want, especially for, I don't know, Ricardo, if someone from Brasmar, I imagine that someone from Brasmar is going to be in Conchemar. So I'm thinking of Brasmar, Alfrio, and Profan.
Yes, we will be there.
The meeting, the MSC meeting is the Wednesday, 4 p.m. at the MSC stand. In any case, I will share with you the invite so you can get registered. So this is for Spain. What else? We have other regions. We were talking, well, this is about the human rights.
Sorry, Carmen.
Yes.
In this new feature score, do you want to implement the small-scale fisheries scores?
I believe that for port, so that will be interesting to see how the Spanish and Portuguese small-scale fisheries are performing, and also to compare. That would be great, especially because in Portugal they have engaged in a really specific project on co-management. So my idea is that for Portugal, at least, for Spain, I still don't have many information, but in my view, for Portugal, it is worth to check with them if we would develop at least the co-management scores to see how they are aligned and also how they perform comparing to, for example, the scores from Senegal, the scores from Peru, from India, from other countries.
This is my idea to compare, no? Because we always think about in Spain, Portugal, the management is fantastic, and I don't know, maybe yes or not. No?
Exactly. So this, my idea at least is if the stock assessment or the management plans are still not updated or are not public, at least try to assess and evaluate how the co-management project is performing.
Okay.
So that's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
For other regions, we have this one. For octopus cyanea in Indonesia and Philippines, we have our colleagues, and I'm not going to spend, we have our colleagues developing fisheries profiles, the co-management indicators, the FIP is ongoing. So I know that only one company, Panapesca, and another company may be interested in this. If any of you are interested in octopus from Indonesia or Philippines, we can speak individually. So I don't want to invest many time on these regions. We keep going with the work that we have from donors. So we understand that there is no big interest from the SR in these regions. So the money invested in these SRs, in these fisheries came from our donors, not from the SR. But fisheries profiles are being developed. The FIP is moving forward. Co-management indicators are also being developed. So as soon as everything is updated and is public, I will share with you for your information. And if any of you is interested, we can connect with the FIP that is going on in Indonesia. And finally, we have this SR governance and participation, but this is going to be addressed in the next quarter for the end of the year to see how we move forward in 2025 with the SR, if there are new things to improve, how we can do the external communications, as long as the FIP are public and the human rights impact assessment also is started, how we can communicate about that. I believe that in terms of governance and participation with this group, we are good. I would like to see companies maybe implementing or developing policies, human rights policies or environmental policies directly linked to the FIP, to the Mauritanian FIP or the situation in the region, especially to speak about due diligence, the human rights impact assessment, not in the immediate or in the short term, but considering that in 2024 and 2025, we are going to have many information in the public domain, how the way to push your suppliers and vendors in the country is through specific procurement policies and requirements. So I want to be sure that we are asking for what we need to ask to mobilize the federations, especially in Mauritania, to join the FIP and the producers and the processors. So this is something to be addressed in the last quarter. And finally, the budget doesn't change considerably because we have the 25,000 approved for the human rights impact assessment. This amount would probably decrease as we have funding to match already with the total cost from this project that I mentioned, the Global Marine Commodities Project. But if we get the grant, we can reduce as well the amount that the SR will invest. And with that, we will see the forecast for the next year and see what are the next steps and what are the next projects that we can. So there is nothing to be approved today. Again, last quarter of the year, we will see what is the unspent money, what is needed for next year. We need additional contributions or we don't need contributions, how to move forward with that. And with this, I can just start the Q&A discussion. We are a small audience today, so I will be sure to share the recording, the presentation, and also discuss one-to-one with the companies in consumer. Any comment or question? Especially for Stacy, Logan, or Dean, that you are in US and maybe far from the reality or the connection with the fisheries. How do you see that?
Carmen, I'd love for you to speak with Juan next week in Spain, because this is kind of more on his end, since he's getting the product from, from these other countries. We block freeze everything and then bring it to Spain for processing. So it's going to be really more on his end of the various regulations and making sure we're, taking it from the right vessels, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can get with him and we could reconnect on a sidebar, I think that would be great.
Okay, this is good, Dean, but and I will do, of course. In your case, you are really well integrated with your supplier in Spain, so you can make directly the request to them. But I believe that it is really important that the position you are, not you, Stacy, Logan, other SR participants that are in US with a distributor role and far from the area. It is really important that you push as well for the implementation of these policies, and these requirements, because sometimes do not have the people relaxed, the importer in Spain or the vendors in Mauritania. So it is really important to put in paper what are the requirements, because otherwise sometimes the people get lost in the middle. So you need a plan for intelligence, you need a plan for pushing your suppliers. So there is where the people in US, far from the region, can help the mission of the SR and the mission of SFP by requesting and requiring specificities to your suppliers. I'm not talking about you and Juan in particular, Dean, but this is my recommendation. The way that we can work within the SR, we have people connected with the field, Antonio, Rio, people directly integrated like Jauma, which is another SR participant who is really have a joint venture in Mauritania. He has an associate, a partner in Mauritania. So the people here in Spain and the people in Mauritania are able to help us with the government. But I need you to help me with the people in Spain and the people in Mauritania. So that's
I agree with you 100%, Carmen. And again, this is something that we've already been doing without it even coming out, because it's very important to us. So we're on the same page.
I know. So if I find gaps or I find more push from your side, people in US, I will let you know.
You have our support.
Thank you.
Carmen, I'm really interested to see how the human rights due diligence portion of this ends up playing out and how the assessment goes. Will we be cued into that, or?
that's the idea. The idea is that we are going, so this kind, and I will share with you the methodology, and the idea of these assessments are two. On the one hand, identifying the roots and the causes in the country that makes that the country and the industry is vulnerable to human rights abuses. This is one of the analyses that can be done. For example, this is the same that we have done in Squid, and the same reports that, for example, Monterrey Bay Aquarium released about the context of a sector and a country. So this is the information that is in the public domain, and we can understand what are these causes and roots. But also what this impact assessment does is to assess the impact of the behavior of the companies operating in the country. That means that what is the impact of a buyer from X country in the country, considering their behavior. So that is why the consultants are going to ask you as well, some companies from the SR, and we will ask you, to all of you, to contribute, to respond to a few questions. What are your procurement policies? Do you have procurement policies? What the documentation you have? So with these two pieces of work, they will be able to understand what are the problems related to the country, to the sector, but also to the buying and the supply chain practices. With that, identifying the major issues, problems, gaps, challenges, recommendations, and identifying a work plan, an action plan to address these deficiencies and these weaknesses. So, of course, the intention is to get the SR participants involved. And through the SR participants, obviously, when they go to the field, connect with the people in the country. Not only your suppliers, but suppliers, other social civil societies, organizations, the management, the industry, anyone, to do a really good to have a really good understanding of the industry of octopus in Mauritania. I believe that they will try, because this is really complicated, to get to fishers and fishing vessels and workers. So they will see how to access to the workers of the artisanal fleet and industrial fleet. This is more complicated, but they will try. At least they will try to include the workers' voices. At the end is the right holders, understand what are the conditions for them. This is not an assessment of the companies. This is not an audit to a factory, but this is an assessment of the right holders. So that's and the workers. So that's the goal of this. But I'm more than happy to share the proposal with the methodology that is somehow described.
I don't need to know the methodology. I think I understand it from the Squid SR, but just the outcome is going to be very interesting. Thanks.
Okay, any other? And of course, we would like to replicate that probably in Senegal after, or see other approaches. So for now, we are in a stage that we are in a good position to initiate that in Mauritania. So let's see then how we move forward with the rest of the origins, how we move forward with the thieves, with improvement initiatives, and yes. Okay. So with that, I will be sure to send the notes from the meeting, the recording, information about Consemar, and additional information about what we have speak and talk today. And as always, you can reach out by email or phone, or yes, when you want. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carmen.
Thanks, Carmen. See you soon. Bye-bye.